Welcome in, everybody. It's a loser's lounge. This is the DNVR World Cup show presented by Vodka TV. I'm your host, Mitchell Carroll, and I'm joined by my gang of sad boys right here. Super producer Yaya.
I am sad because this was my one last team that I actually wanted to win.
Right. Same. To my right, downtown Duane Brown.
I'm just sad for a little bit. Like, I'm already kind of over it. I'm excited about this team,
Sure.
like, moving forward. So, you know, we did better than I think a lot of people thought we were going to do. And
Sure.
I'm proud of us. Like,
Yeah.
I love this squad.
Host of DNVR Bets, general manager of DNVR Sports, Andre Simone.
Yeah, it's well said by Duane. I think once you let the dust settle, you feel there's some real promise. And post-World Cup with the U.S., there's always like, you feel like there should be something coming next with this group. You truly know the best has yet to come. And even though it feels like a lopsided loss, it feels like a couple chances we're right there. We're right there in several instances.
Yeah, so the U.S. lose 3-1 to the Dutch. Let's get into it. U.S. missed an absolute sitter. Christian Pulisic, a ball that's supposed to be cleared, ends up coming through on the opposite end of the box. A Dutch defender hasn't made it up to the line.
Yeah, it might be Blind or
and so they
Timber
are.
far right are keeping him in bounds.
Keeps him on. He one-touches it. Maybe could have taken a touch and settled down. Misses the sitter. U.S. doesn't go up. And then minute 10, right?
Yeah.
Minute 10 on the other end. A-Rob way out of position. You get Dumfries to Memphis, and Memphis buries one from right at the top of the box. So 10 minutes in, you're playing down. Neither team had played with a trailing in the whole tournament.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you have 80 minutes ahead of you, or whatever, however long it takes to draw. It settles down a little bit. It gets a little, they're trying to figure out how to play into the Dutch holding back. How far do you push forward? How do you not allow these counters? You see a couple really nice moments from about the 40th minute to the 45th-ish minute for the U.S., and then in extra time, 1 minute of extra time, and you give up basically the same goal. Out of position, scrambling backline, buried goal.
It was brutal.
And buried the U.S. at that point. At that point, you needed as many goals as you had scored in the whole tournament to just go to extra time. And you kind of knew it was over there, Duane.
It just, again, you said it best. They went all the way. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear my bad.
That's okay.
It just, it really sucked just from
I got to get that ran in.
Let's go.
No,
Let's get it in.
I'm really impressed by the squad, how you said it. We said it in the watch along. They played great. They're young. They were kind of playing with house money a little bit.
Yeah.
2 key mistakes that come from A-Rob. Maybe all 3 of them actually come from A-Rob not really doing. I would have, is it like an injury thing? Because he had been subbed out when he was on the ground grabbing himself.
Holding his hip. It looked like a hip pointer or something
Maybe
like that.
Maybe that third goal doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Again, it just feels like they're not there yet because they're not polished because they're so young. But they gave the Dutch a hell of a game. The Dutch did not dominate this game. The U.S. did. All the Dutch did was finish better.
Sure. Haji Wright comes on. Aronson comes on. You put Haji Wright up top. You have Weah, Gio, Pulisic, Haji Wright. I'm sorry, Weah came off, right? So
Weah came off for Reyna.
So you have Haji, Gio, and Pulisic. Haji misses a sitter too on a broken play.
Yeah.
Right? It's just too heavy of a touch. Angle's too extreme to get it past the keeper, what would have been a wide open goal. You probably just try and blast it instead of taking a touch and hope it gets through or a rebound happens.
Sure.
Tough to say. It was a tight play, and then Haji just gets an absolute junk goal. Weird touch.
Yep.
Through his legs, over everybody, into the corner. But hey, it's 2-1 at that point, right?
And there's a through ball from Pulisic to Haji, which the Dutch goalkeeper gets to just a mere seconds or a mere split second before Haji can. So you basically have 3 one-on-one opportunities with the goalie between Pulisic and Haji twice, and not one of the 3 goes in the back of the net.
Yeah, and it's really tough. I mean, that's kind of the story of the attack through this whole tournament. It's just been near misses in the attack. Balls not totally getting to the target. And in this case, the balls were getting there, and you couldn't find the finish. Ferreira, who got the start, was basically invisible. He was more visible as like a 6, as like a holding midfielder in possession than he was in attack.
Yeah.
There was a play where he was all the way back.
The second goal,
Yeah, he was all the way back trying to clear it, trying to help out. And I mean, great. Like, I love the effort, but where you're getting paid to be at the front and be that dangerous, be in that dangerous position, that's just not what I wanted from Ferreira. I've advocated for him, just didn't show out like I thought he would.
We all advocated for him. We were all really excited when we saw that, but maybe it was just a little too late. 81st minute, Yaya's mortal enemy of the podcast, Dumfries, puts one in. He is wide open on the back side. A-Rob
that was lame.
A-Rob just, with, 20 feet away from him. Perfect cross, blasts one into the net. It's over, sends the U.S. home. Some decent chances at the end. The U.S. found a little bit there. Brendan Aronson working that right wing, I thought was a nice to end that game. But again, when you need more goals to even go to extra time than you've scored in the entire tournament, you knew it was over there for the U.S. But, I mean, that being said, you're in the next World Cup automatically, right? Like, you have that in your head. You're a host. No matter what, you're already in.
Also, a million teams are in.
Also, a million teams are in. It's 46 teams coming up.
Everyone's in.
That maybe scares me, but
it does scare me too.
Yeah,
I'm kind of excited for it. Just more soccer.
Andre, you've watched a lot of soccer. You've watched a lot of styles of soccer growing up in Milan, watching early MLS stuff here in Denver, a lot of international ball. What was missing from this team that stopped them from making this step against the Netherlands?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. It's not the most beautiful or aesthetically pleasing Netherlands team in their history. They were very pragmatic, ruthless in the final third. I think they maybe had 4 shots on goal. One, it goes wide by Memphis Depay. The other 3 are in the back of the net. They got it done. They were able to show that quality in the final third and get it in the back of the net. Their defense did a good enough job. Their midfield and support did good enough job. But more importantly, when they had a ball in a key scoring area, they finished it. And as much as we've talked about this U.S. team, they've got that dog in them. They 100% do. You need that dog in the final third, though.
Yeah.
You need that dog.
You need that dog. And I think there were some options. And I think it all comes really back down to selection, where the holes were. Berhalter's selection for this squad. I think leaving a guy like John Brooks out would have helped. He has some dog. He has some experience. Not bringing P-Folk, not convincing Brendan Vazquez to sign with the U.S., commit to the U.S. on an international level. You just missed some big physical guys. And look, Sargent, he's done very well at the club level. You have to be okay with him in the squad. Same thing with Ferreira. He was great in the MLS. Haji Wright, I don't think anyone was happy that he was here compared to who was missing, but it just feels like there were some missed opportunities with who was there because the depth really showed itself in this game.
But that's what happens when you have a really good squad, that you have options at every level.
Yeah.
That should actually be like something to celebrate, that you're going to complain about some of these guys that were left off because you have such a deep squad.
Right.
So it's actually a good thing that you're complaining a little bit. And no matter who Berhalter would have chosen, he would have been criticized.
You're right.
I'm one of his number one critics for many reasons that we don't have to get into. But again, that's one thing that U.S. has done. They've developed their players, and I think Berhalter put them all in a really good position to be successful this World Cup. They drew against Wales and England, and they beat Iran, and they gave the Dutch a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Haji could have been in better form. Maybe if little bounces went their way, like that Pulisic goal, changes the whole dynamic of that game.
Yeah.
Again,
there were a few touches here and there,
Looking back at it, I didn't love the tactics. At the beginning, I did, as Duane pointed out. I was all Raven, I did like it, but the more I came in, it's like you're just playing into what the Dutch want. Maybe you should have sat back a little bit more like the Dutch, let them come to you, and play the game brand of football that got you this far, in order to keep everything a little bit more comfortable. At the end of the day, I'm still really proud of this U.S. team because, how we said, they're young, they're dumb, but they gave a hell of a fight. no matter who you would have brought, if it would have been John Brooks or whatever, that would not have balanced out the youth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's way too much youth and so much inexperience. That's only going to change as this team like mends together, as more of these players go into Champions League, they go to Europa and more top 5 leagues.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the youth of this team. I mean, we're talking to Musaya, who, like, we're all on board with the Musaya. He turned 20 during this tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Adams, 24. Like, all these guys are kids, except for
A-Rob is
Remy,
25,
Sean Johnson, like, everybody else on this squad. Even Turner's relatively young.
For a goalie, yeah.
Yeah, for a keeper. You know, this you see the core, you see that midfield specifically to me, which I think on our last show we were talking about how the back line is sort of the MVP of this team. That midfield, though, Musa, the Musaya, McKennie, and then Tyler Adams. Duane, you have to love knowing that you have that group together for 4 years with this experience in their back pocket.
I think so. Here's the thing. Looking forward, one of the disadvantages that we've had for this squad is, in comparison to other teams in the World Cup, is that with our tournaments that we've played in the past, building up qualifiers, we get, and I've mentioned this before, we get 1 or 2 days for this squad to be together,
Right.
to start to gel as a squad.
Yep.
We've had a little more time in the World Cup now. Now this team is starting to get together.
Yes.
It's only going to continue to grow, and that's what separates the U.S. from the other squads that we're playing against. I still think that we have a massive issue to solve at the striker position, and I know Yahya was mentioning that's a good problem to have with the depth, but the problem is that depth is not great. We know what our weaknesses are, and one of those main weaknesses is scoring goals in that striker position. So yeah, we have a lot of people we can plug and play into that position, but they're not there yet. I'm not sure if they're going to get there, or if there's someone else that maybe comes in that we don't know yet.
Right.
We've
Yeah.
got time,
Yeah.
and
You have
that's
4
what's
years.
cool is that
3.5 years.
yeah, we build. Let this team continue to come together.
Yes.
And then maybe someone else either grows into that striker role, or it's someone we don't know yet who's going to come in there.
Right.
But I think. Go ahead.
I really hope they can convince Brendan Vazquez to not go to Mexico. To me, he's kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's not going to Mexico. I think
If he commits to the U.S., man, that is a goal scorer. That is a pure.
That'd be amazing.
Pure in the box target guy that can really bang them home. We might be getting a little ahead of ourselves here.
Well, the other thing is, I think the midfield has their worst game.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a lot. I mean,
Absolutely.
I love this midfield. They're outstanding. It's one of the more promising young midfields in the entire tournament. That's not.
Well,
I'm not
that
blowing
is not
smoke
hyperbole
when
at
I
all.
say
No,
that,
no,
right?
no. You are correct.
It's not even at the international level. Like if you look at club level, this is one of the most exciting midfields.
Yeah.
Like
Period.
no matter what
Yeah.
competition you look
Right,
at.
and I mean,
great.
BA is coming off the bench and is part of that midfield. Kellen Acosta, who we love, is
Yeah.
part of that group, and I think there's more talent coming down the pipe. The defense really impresses you, but I think in the end, the wingers, Pulisic didn't look his best today. I wonder how much of that growing injury, that hit he took against Iran was brutal,
Yeah.
man. Gio, quite clearly,
Not
we can
there.
do the whole he said, she said with him and Berhalter, quite clearly not looking his best.
He didn't
just-
prove him wrong.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he
He
didn't prove
didn't come to
Berhalter
this
wrong.
tournament
Ready.
in his best form, right?
Yep.
Is Timmy Weah better suited to be inside for this team?
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
the one guy who kind of sees the goal, who's willing to turn and just
Boy, he had a nice
Take a
rip from the
shot,
top of
yeah.
the box.
He really did.
That was forced a really nice save.
and that's where the
yeah.
depth gets us really excited on the wing. Well, we didn't quite see it this tournament.
Yeah.
Pulisic was really great. Everyone else had their moments, but give him 4 more years, and then we can.
And you
talk.
really hope the development's
Yeah,
there.
Weah's like the definition of shoot or shoot.
Yeah.
He's like, I see goal, I'm shooting. And that's kind of what you need. Like, one of my big strategies with this team is like, you got some poachers, shoot it, get some rebounds. Like,
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
The defense
that
moving
is
a little
the
bit.
that is the
Way it
style of
gets that.
striker on
Yeah.
this U.S. team is a poacher. Should we get into our man of the match, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, we've already threw some stuff out there on the watch along. Yeah, you had one specifically. Let's start with you. Your man of the match. Go ahead.
It's going to be Barca legend, Sergiño Dest.
I think that's a great pick.
I
don't know if anyone here will strongly disagree.
I thought he was their most dynamic player. He's the one that made the most runs, and he was the one that broke down the defense the most.
First 30 minutes, he's unbelievable.
I even thought towards the end, he was like tired legs, and he was still pushing harder than A-Rob was.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, especially when you compare him to his counterpart on the opposite side. Rough showing from A-Rob. I think Dest might be the player of the tournament for me for the U.S.
That is what I was about to say.
I don't know if he's necessarily my player of the match. Honestly, my player of the match might be Turner, because I think without some just absolutely insane saves, this is like 5 or 6-1.
Yeah.
And there was not enough threatening outside of him. You could say a guy like Tim Ream, right? You could say maybe Weah, but I think, it probably is Dest.
I think
it's tough
Dest.
just because I think we got the worst game from a lot of guys across this entire squad.
Sure.
I wouldn't be opposed to Tyler Adams either. Tyler Adams was very quiet, but he was all over the field.
Had
he really
to play
kept
the
Dutch in
ball a
check.
lot more too.
Yeah.
You
have a candidate,
you
Duane?
said Tim Ream, right, on the watch along?
Yeah, I kind of think Tim Ream is that choice. He had to play the ball a lot. It's the only game Gakpo doesn't score a goal in, and I think that's no coincidence. That's Tim Ream falling around the pitch just like he did Harry Kane. I think he's probably my player of the tournament for this team.
Whoa, nice.
Which I did not expect. Not exactly a huge Tim Ream fan, but
I don't think Tim Ream expected to have to be
No.
man of the match today.
I
if
think
that's
you're
your
right.
vote. Yeah, I don't think any of us. This is going to sound weird, but it's like kind of like what Drew Moore was saying. Is that you don't want to notice your center backs and your back line that much. And unfortunately, like Tim Ream had to kind of be the field captain a lot today because the ball came back to him so much that he was having to, literally point out and get the ball back into play. I don't think any of us would want Tim Ream to be the man of the match. I don't mean that negatively. No. It's just that you'd hope he'd just be able to do his job and everyone else keep pushing forward.
That's just not his real skill set.
That's what happened today, and he stepped up when we needed him to.
And sound defensively. I don't think any of the 3 goals are on him.
No.
So.
I think it's more
not.
on A-Rob and Zimmerman, honestly.
All
Zimmerman,
on A-Rob.
Dest is
All on
definitely
A-Rob.
responsible for one of those.
It's basically
in
the
part.
other 3 except for Ream, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Zimmerman, rough game from Zim. I liked the Ferreira start. I was okay with the Zimmerman start. I kind of wish it was either Long or Carter Vickers. The game, I think, got a little big for these guys. I really do. I don't know if it's necessarily on a team level, but it just felt like some of these guys were didn't understand that it doesn't have to be just you making this happen, right? You lost a lot of those one-touch passes that were so successful in your best stretches of group play. And the togetherness, the teamwork seemed to go out, and a lot of hero ball started. And that's not how this team has been successful.
Yeah.
The goal throws them off, man.
Exactly. And this
Goals
team
change games.
Yep.
This team is full of dogs, no killers. That's what they need. They need a killer, somebody that can go in and be like, I'm taking over this final third, and I'm going to make sure that we get this win. Tyler Adams can do all he wants in the mid, but if you don't got that striker, that's that killer, that Harry Kane, even that Gakpo, somebody that's going to be like, I'm taking this shot, and I'm going to make sure we have an opportunity here, it's really hard to score goals.
I almost feel like in this tournament, Dest and Weah feel like they were right on the brink of being that killer,
Yeah.
they were always
I think they're
involved
close.
in
I think there's killers in the future on this club.
and that's and I think, but once they get down to the box, that's where they get a little bit confused.
That's where you make the money, unfortunately.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's what keeps them not on killer squad and still on really great tournament. Those are my 2 guys for the whole tournament, who I think have had really great tournaments. I'm impressed with. I don't mean to rhyme now. I'm impressed with Dest.
Impressed with Dest.
Tenacious Dest.
Yeah.
He's just in there always when things are happening. You just see that dyed blonde hair in the mix, you know.
And he's-
I wonder if also these guys might benefit from a little bit different system at club level,
Sure.
where they don't have to be the guy that has that extra move to get through. Maybe a little bit more passing, like would actually.
He
help
seems
him out
to be
a
on the
little more.
ball a lot at Milan, right?
Yeah.
Dest?
Yeah, when he plays, I mean,
Yeah, I just kind of wish that maybe they had a little bit more like an instinctive pass, move, a little bit more movement. Because it feels like when they get to that final third, it's, I got to be my
It's
guy
a
one-on-one
run,
right
yeah.
now. Be my guy one-on-one. There just wasn't those runs that you need.
Yeah.
And to open up the defense, move everybody around, which a lot of people have told me, soccer's a lot like a chess match because each moving part is for a reason, and that's true. And it just feels like when you get there, it's like, oh, we're at a stalwart. There's nothing I can do because there's not a lot of movement.
well,
Yeah.
isn't that where the Haji Wright selection is maybe most criticizable? Is he didn't have nearly as much time playing with these guys as a Pepe did, who
For
was
sure.
a key part of the qualifiers.
Right, for sure.
And you saw Weah and Pulisic vibe and get some places. If you had an attacker that they were vibing with a little more, that they knew how to play with a little more, maybe you go a smidge further.
I will
sure.
still die on that hill that Pepe should be on this squad.
Sure.
It's my
And it's not why they lost.
No, it's
No,
not
no,
why
no.
they lost, but
But
it's to me.
I don't think they
worst
win
move
this game
by
if Pepe's
Berhalter.
on the squad.
No.
I think they might win this game if Sargent's on this. It starts though.
Maybe. That's
I
tough.
just think he has a
But
much better striker finish.
Like you kind of said, I think after that goal, you saw everyone with their back to the goal. Not a lot of runs, not a lot of one touches. It was get the ball, touch, pass back.
Their midfield kind of lost their identity.
I mean,
You're
you saw
not
it-
seeing
that's-
Musa and McKinney get on the ball as
There were-
much.
You
there
saw
was
it with
a-
that Pulisic throw in, basically at the corner flag. Throw in, back
When
to
that-
Turner's feet at the back. Like that, just there was no runs towards the goal.
When that goal was scored, the U.S. lost all of their swag, right? And it was a clear shift
Yeah, it
between,
took the winds out of their sails, for
between
sure.
Netherlands saying, like, we're better than you and we know we're going to win. Even if you look at right from the beginning, when Turner had the ball, Netherlands was pushing their two guys standing right at the edge of the box, just saying, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
And they really made like this show of swagger. Meanwhile, the U.S. seemed to be on their heels after that. There wasn't a lot of, I mean, you know, a few players excluded from this statement, but it was a lot of jogging. You know, it wasn't like that full press. It seemed like, you know, the heart. I'm not saying they didn't want to win, obviously, but there was definitely an emotional reaction that
Yeah.
seemed to hurt USA a little bit.
And
I think they're
tactical
young.
reaction by
Yes.
Holland, I think, really impact. Like Holland just sat back.
Yeah,
this.
and it almost feels like it should have been instead of trying to score the first goal, maybe prevent the first goal a little bit just for your guys' confidence. But again, those are the tactics he chose with. In hindsight,
Yeah.
that's what it should have been because they are a young squad. Maybe avoiding the first goal is a little bit better than making the first goal because now they're in reaction mode instead of playing their game.
Yeah.
And that was I feel like that was the biggest issue with the U.S. after that first goal. It was our reaction instead of like staying focused in the moment. They kind of lost track of what was going on, and they were just kind of going through the motions. So maybe in hindsight, it should have been maybe like prevent the first goal instead of make the first goal.
I wish I could have seen him for a full 40 minutes, like as the dog in this game, because I really liked what I saw in the first 10 minutes.
10 minutes was
until
great.
they lose possession and turn it over. And I said all tournament long, I really like this team as an underdog, but being down one goal is really tough.
Also, I like the pressing. I really do. I thought that was one of the keys because they make a lot of mistakes. I would have liked on the fast breaks for them to push, stay back a little bit more. Maybe let on the counterattacks push back, stay close down some of those passing lanes instead of trying to be on point of attack. But again, this is all hindsight after we watched the whole game.
Right.
In the moment, you're like, oh, I like what they're doing. Hindsight is always a lot better. What you should have done.
Yeah.
I just wish Berhalter might have made those adjustments in the second half a little bit quicker, or even maybe in the 40th minute. But it's hindsight. Really hard to do in the game without knowing what the full scope of the game is.
And I mean, look, there's no shame in being outwitsed by Louis van Gaal.
There's a little
Like,
shame.
I think we all would have fallen into the same trap. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. And it's nothing against Berhalter. It's just, this is hindsight. Looking back at it, I
Yeah.
would have liked them to close down those passing lanes a little bit more. Made it harder for them to get the ball forward instead of always pressing on point of attack on those counters.
In hindsight, I would have gone with a 5-3-2.
We were talking
Like
about
Robinson and Dest are so key in their push up the flank. Just lean into it.
Yeah, and
Go
almost
three-man
almost
defense.
mirror that sort of three back with the two like the Netherlands play. Almost just mirror their whole thing.
Yeah.
Give a little bit of
for sure.
reinforcement to that defense, not leave them out to dry with
And
only
then
two.
and then Zimmerman's little mistakes are semi. This is the touch. They just showed it on the replay. That's the touch from Haji. You either blast it
Whoa.
or just a little softer so you can get your foot on it quicker. The angle was just too tough by the time he got to it. And then the also huge missed opportunity was that Tim Ream on that corner. What, the 50th minute or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that? It hit him like in the belly. He just didn't
Yeah.
finish it.
Yeah.
It's just tough to leave some stuff on the table like that. Overall, though, man, it's been a pretty good ride for this team.
Again, and it gets really, really encouraging with this team because you look out at the wings, you got Wea, you got Gio, you got BA, and you got Pulisic. And then you still have Kate Cowell in the MLS that's making runs. Then you got the younger Aronson brother in the midfield that's also coming up the ranks. Might go to the Red Bull. There's just so much talent developing in the U.S. that how we were saying right now the U.S. doesn't have that striker. But who knows that in the next year somebody comes up and just completely takes the reins. It happened with Mexico. It's happening with the Netherlands. They barely found out that Gakpo is their guy up front.
Yeah.
Like, it happens every time. Like, there's just a guy that comes out of nowhere. And the U.S., it's in prime position because they have the squad around them to build into a striker.
If you're a U.S. national striker right now, or a striker anywhere in the world with the potential of a U.S. passport, you got to kind of be drooling at the opportunity for 2026 right now.
Oh,
because there is
definitely.
no one cemented to be that guy.
Yep.
I mean, that's
It's wide open for the
yeah,
taking.
that's the case in a lot of countries right now. There are a few elite strikers. Norway feels good about their striker. A lot of other countries, though, in search. I'm just letting you guys know. But, at the end of the day, Dumfries, Depay, they made the difference.
Yeah, dude, and again, I clown on Dumfries so much because he was not getting group stage. He showed up for this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tried
he
to watch
showed
the
up big
Netherlands
time.
because it was the most potential matchup the U.S. had.
I didn't
And
think Blind was going to be this good either.
I saw him being more of a factor
Sure,
than
sure,
Dumfries. And Dumfries just grew to the game. You know what? Like, the moment came and he stood up and he's like, I got this. And you know what? All credit to Dumfries. As much as I hate him, I thought he had a great game all the way around.
Amazing game. And, I mean, Depay's been very divisive, too, but he ultimately was masterful. He got it done.
It is what it is, man. Go ahead.
Should we talk? Okay, I kind of want to bring something back. Tell me if you guys are cool with this. We did this after good Rapids games on our post game show. Is we gave some flowers, right? We gave guys their flowers. Gave guys that deserved it. Now that this tournament is done for this team, is there anyone that we haven't maybe necessarily talked about yet in depth that you want to give flowers to on this roster?
I do. And it's going to be a little bit weird since I talk so much shit. Berhalter, man. Berhalter just gets all his flowers in the world.
Thank you.
Again, I still think that he should have a little shorter leash. It got a little extended right now. I still think there should be some consideration here in the next couple of years. See how he does, because you do have to make sure this team is developing. But his tactics were great. He put this young team where they had to be in order to qualify to the tournament. And then, again, I can say it, he gave the Dutch a hell of a game.
Yeah.
That he really pushed the Dutch to the limit. The scoreboard does not reflect how good the U.S. played.
It's so easy when there's only 4 games, right? You only played 4 games. It's so easy to second guess this thing. The fact is, in the last 2 to 3 years, he has made himself one of the most successful coaches in the history of this program. And look, they didn't allow a goal from the run of play in group stage. They held their own against England and Wales. They outclassed Iran when Iran only needed a draw. I think they held their own in this match pretty well. 60% possession, more shots on goal. Couldn't get the finish. It's so, like I said, it's so easy to trash him. But I think I walk out of this being like, they did a very good job.
Yeah. They were playing with house money in the tourneys. So
I don't know.
mean, the England game's outstanding. The start to this game's great. He takes care of business against Iran. You also feel like he lets his foot off the gas
a little bit, yeah.
in the last 20 minutes against Iran and kind of screws that up. And the second half against Wales isn't great. So, there's lots of positives. There are some negatives here to
Any
work
team
on.
that goes out now is going to be questioning why, right? No team, especially some of those teams, like Germany didn't go through, Belgium didn't go through. You think the U.S. has problems with who's running the program right now? We're talking world powers that didn't make it through, right? I don't know. I think that's a really good person to hand the flowers to. Duane, you got someone you want to give flowers to?
I don't have anybody that we haven't talked about already.
Sure. I can think of one guy we necessarily haven't gone in depth in this show.
I mean, we haven't talked about Musa very
Yep,
much.
that's it right there.
Not his best game.
No.
But
Worst
I will
game.
tell you, I don't remember when it was in the game. I think you guys were talking about something else. I don't know if anyone saw it but me, because you guys were interacting. But boy,
Was this during the PSG PSV
it might
debacle?
have been, but there was a play on the sideline where he not only burned Netherlands, but then he kept the ball from going out, came back in, got it up the field. And, I mean, that is just like another glimpse of what we have in Musa. Like, if you weren't on the Musa train and if you have a time for us to share with you about our
Lord and Savior.
Messiah, let me extend an invitation to you to watch Musa play
The Church of
the
Musa.
game. He
Andre,
is
future
wonderful.
future Milan superstar, the Messiah. Am I right?
Let's hope. He might have priced himself out of the Serie A, frankly, which I'm happy with because Inter was the team interested. I mean, we joke, and maybe it feels like an inside joke, but like the world has noticed. He is one of the
that dude.
truly promising young central midfielders in the world, and he's got that duality of that foot playmaking and vision to kind of be that playmaking midfielder from the back. Obviously the pinnacle would be a Modric type, which I'm not saying he's going to be developing into Modric. But I love that he can also play like a box-to-box, more like a number 6, And when you have both those things in a 20-year-old kid who's already starting and performing at a high level in La Liga, you have to be extremely excited.
The one
Oh,
thing
he's
about
good.
Musa, I'd put him up there just because he's not in a bigger club or like a more noticeable international team. But I'd put him up there with Gavi and Pedri. I think he has the capability to go toe-to-toe with those guys. They might be better, but he's at that level of young, talented guy that's developing into one of the elite players of the game. And I'm really excited for him. But one player I kind of want to like shout out to is Sargent. I thought he was their best striker this whole
Man, and
tournament.
he ran all over that field.
Yeah.
That boy was active.
I think that's somebody that went really unnoticed because he
Sure.
didn't play as much.
Didn't get a
But-
lot of touches even when he played, which was frustrating.
Exactly, but I thought he was great, man. I thought he was the best striker the U.S. took.
I think that's fair
Great
to
pick.
say.
Great pick.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I guess we get into it now. Who's your guys' favorites going forward? We got Argentina
Yeah.
playing today. They got a relatively easy draw for them in Australia. Scrappy team, but I mean, you know, if you're looking at the bracket, you're like, okay, I'll take Australia.
Who do
if
you
you're them.
Yeah, who
That's
do you
what I'm
want
saying.
to win, and who do you think will?
Who do I
win?
want to win? So
So
there is a
there's your
setup where
two
you can
answers.
get a Messi Ronaldo final.
I'm
which we
begging
talked
for
about. In terms of just global sport, that's about as exciting as it could be, right? The biggest one I'm hoping for is the Senegal upset against England. Mendy has seen those guys in club play all the time, done very well. Koulibaly at Chelsea, same thing. You know, you're definitely hoping they play above their heads a little bit, but that would be really exciting. Andre, who do you like left in this tournament?
Yeah, I'll be rooting for Netherlands. It'd be cool to see them finally do it. And, you know, every European country that has already done it, I root against. So if you haven't already done it, like Belgium or Netherlands, I'm on your team. And I really think Brazil's bringing this home.
I think that's fair.
I am loyal to the Americas. I want South America to win it.
Okay.
If CONCACAF can't take it out of Europe, screw them.
It would
I
be
don't want
nice.
that anymore.
Look,
I want Brazil to win it all. Brazil or Argentina to win it all. I just wanted to get out of Europe. I wanted to come back
I'm
to
about
our
it.
side of the world.
Messi adding the last trophy, right? They made the final against Germany when Germany won it all in Brazil. It would be cool for him to have that in his trophy case. Undoubtedly the GOAT in my mind. And yet not having that World Cup trophy to just cement that cements the legacy. That is
Yeah.
like no doubt about it. He is the best if he gets that goal or gets that trophy.
It's just, again, how you said, I think the final between Portugal and Argentina would be an absolute
Oh, it'd be crazy.
banger.
So I think I'm going to stick with my pre World Cup pick of Netherlands as the dark horse. Who I want to win has been who I've been behind on Twitter and Sleepy Boys FC with Mitch downstairs early in the morning. God, I love Japan.
Japan's fun as
I
hell.
love
Oh,
Japan.
yeah.
Fun
Japan's
as
amazing.
hell.
Yeah.
Japan plays a pure not falling down, not trying to get penalties, just trying to be efficient and play soccer, purest style of the game that I wish we played.
They're super fast.
I think the style that Japan plays is what we need to get more Americans into soccer.
Their captain, Maya Yoshida, their center back,
Yeah.
also the captain of my Schalke FC.
They all
I
have
love
Kubo.
rooting for
I
them the
love
rest
them
of the way.
so much.
Kubo's the shit, too.
They're
Kubo's
on a really
cool.
tough bracket, and
Yes.
Yaya wanting Portugal to make it through. That side of the bracket has England, France, Spain, and Portugal without any
Yeah.
upsets
And they
happening.
start off against Croatia.
And they start off against, no big deal. Just Modric and their
they'll
miracle
get
run.
Croatia and then Brazil if they
Yeah.
advance.
It's
But
going to be really tough.
I just love them so much. I think
They're
in
amazing, man.
this whole tournament, Japan has been the most fun team to watch. I think France has been the most beautiful team to watch. The way their passes flow, it's as much as I can't stand France. They are a joy to watch play the small parts of the game. But Japan is just exciting, fun to root for. You
Sure.
love their fans stay after the matches and clean the stadium.
It's crazy.
If you don't love Japan,
their culture's
like,
a lot different
you
than
need to
anybody else.
search your soul
Hey,
because they're
Shout
great.
out Flo in the comments, the DNVR Nuggets homie. No, we do not believe in the back-to-back because that never happens. The back-to-back is
Oh,
non-existent.
I believe it could happen. I believe France could win this.
Yes, absolutely they can.
Of
But
course they
again,
can.
that half of the bracket is
Again,
a gauntlet.
anybody can win this except for England. Anybody. England's the only one that we know is not going to win it.
Spain finishing second in that group
It's
really
insane.
made that half of the bracket just insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
It's been
insane.
a great World Cup, everyone.
Oh, yeah, it's been-
I mean, so many upsets. It's just been fun. Like, from a soccer side of it, just watching the soccer on the field has been just more entertaining than I can remember group stages ever being.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
been
it's up
fun.
there for sure. Look, we still get the World Cup. Like,
Yeah, it's so
like,
fun.
look, it sucks the U.S. isn't in, man. I think
Yeah,
they got about as far as they
there's
should
more to
have.
be
They were
played.
very entertaining, stressful but entertaining. Ultimately, pretty rewarding to see. And now we get to watch
And where can we watch it?
right here,
Right
the hub
here
for the cup
at the DNVR
Shout out to the
bar.
Colorado Rapids for teaming up with us to make the DNVR bar the hub for the cup. We will have Rapids players out for the rest of the knockout
just
stages.
come down, watch the match,
Hang out with Duane and me
with
and Yaya
players
and
from
Andre
the
in the bar.
Rapids. Like they're here to hang out, and it's been so much fun just talking soccer and goofing off and cracking jokes with Ollie and Drew. And,
Oh, yeah.
Seb and everybody else who's been here.
Bassett came by as
yeah.
well, so that was pretty dope.
Yeah,
We will be doing watch-alongs for the 2 semifinal matches as well as the final. I mean, this has been a blast doing this with you boys.
Yeah.
absolutely.
An absolute blast.
And we've still got
Yeah.
more games.
And we still have plenty of more games, including No, we did them all already this week.
They're good.
So, guys, I think that's going to do it for us. Unless anybody has any final thoughts on this USMNT as we wrap up their tournament.
I have a quick
Future's
question.
bright.
How do you develop this team even further? How do you get internationally, not club level? How do you make this team meant better?
More time together.
Well,
That's
like,
hard to get. But
what would you
that's
do?
makes
Like,
the
You
my
difference.
gotta
opinion-
honestly. You gotta. I think the mark you aim for is first in the next qualifying round, even though you're automatically through.
Yep.
I think you leave no doubt that you're the best team in CONCACAF.
I think there's two things that the U.S. should do. Go to Copa America more often, play CONMEBOL, increase your level of competition, and
I like
Huge.
that.
go
Huge.
all in on Jesse Marsh. See how many USMNT players you can get on that squad. Because you've seen it with Spain, you've seen it with Germany. When you have a lot of the same players playing for the same team, it helps them out so much more,
Sure.
and it creates that chemistry.
Yeah,
how
familiarity.
Many of these, at Leeds. Well, with Jesse Marsh, put them all in the same squad. See how far they can create that chemistry. That's my only thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you saw sorry, when you saw the off-field stuff with this club or with this team, they seem so together,
Yeah.
right? Especially those young guys.
That Thanksgiving dinner they had.
They just seem like
well, and
such.
they just showed. I don't know if you saw it, but before the TV switched over, they showed 3 of the players just sitting in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I saw
Just-
Haji, Yedlin, and I don't know who the third one was.
Yeah,
I didn't.
and
It was
just-
one of their goalies, wasn't it? One
Yeah,
of the
backup
goalkeepers.
goalie. Yep.
Sean Johnson, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and just hanging out and talking about what just happened, and that to me that's what I love to see on this team. Give them more time to be together and to be a group. And that's
Absolutely.
the future for us.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you for following along with us throughout the tournament. Like I said, we'll be back for the semifinals. But until then, up the USMNT, up the PIDs, and we'll see you later.